Hi, welcome to Jovie's home. I post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Today, I am going to be answering your questions. Thank you to everyone who has sent them in. Just to make this video like a little bit more concise and like time friendly, I'm not going to be saying your names or anything like that, but if you've sent in a question, I really appreciate it. I will be looking at my computer a bit to read your questions where I have noted them. But yeah, if you want to hear my answers to your frequently asked questions, then why don't you come on in, kick off your shoes, and stay a while. I'm really glad you're here. Okay guys, so shall we just get into it? I want to try to answer as many of these questions as possible. All right, well first up, how long have you been in the Netherlands? Why did you move to the Netherlands? And what kind of work do I do? So I moved to the Netherlands. It's kind of like a in and out and in. Basically, I came here for the very first time in January of 2008. I came here to do an internship at one of the international criminal tribunals. I was in my last semester of law school, and the Netherlands is like the capital of international criminal law. So this was a very logical place for me to come. So yeah, I came here, I did my internship for 6 months, and then I went back home to the United States. I graduated from law school, moved to Sierra Leone for the better part of a year, and then my husband and we came back here to the Netherlands together to work again in the tribunals. So that is how we ended up here. And what kind of work do I do? Well, right now I do the hardest job I've ever done, and that is I am a stay-at-home mom to a 1.5-year-old very active kid. So that is what I do now. As I mentioned just now, I have a legal background, so I have a law degree. I have a master's in international law as well from the University of Amsterdam. But I don't work in that field anymore. I left it before we had kids. I just found it to be too emotionally taxing for me. I'm a very emotional person. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll probably know that. But for me, war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, forced marriages, child soldiers, these topics are very, very emotionally draining and taxing. And so for my own mental health and for my own sanity, I had to leave that field. I really admire the people who can do that kind of work and not enter like a huge depression, because that's what happened to me. But when I left international criminal law, I went and I worked at a aircraft leasing company in their legal department. So I was working on nice, boring contracts that had no emotional like pull for me, which was great. It was a nice change. And then I worked at a company, a Dutch company actually, later on. And that company was working with a lot of pharmaceutical companies, helping pharmaceutical companies and doctors meet. And I was working in the compliance aspect of that, so to make sure that their interactions were legal. So by the way, this is kind of how I'm trying to do a job, like where I can work from home while still being with my daughter, who I film when she naps. And I try to respond to your comments like either before the kids wake up or after they go to bed if I haven't just like fallen over. So I try to kind of work around their schedule since my husband and I are here alone. So that's that. Moving on. All right. Why don't you speak Dutch yet? And how do your kids speak Dutch if you don't? So I am the first to admit that after being here for 10 years, I should speak Dutch. Like, when you guys tell me that in the comments, I agree with you. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I will tell you why I don't speak Dutch. And I hope that you're gonna kind of maybe understand where I'm coming from. So when you work in international criminal law, one of the things that you do sometimes is you move from place to place to place. So previously, kind of tribunals were being set up in the places where the conflicts happened. So you might be in Cambodia for a while, and then you go to Sierra Leone, and then you go to Arusha in Rwanda, and then you go to Kosovo, for example, and then you come to the Hague, and so you're just constantly moving around. When my husband and I moved here, and we didn't have kids at that time, I never expected to actually live here for as long as I have. So I never learned Dutch at that time when we first came here, because I didn't expect to stay. Then, as things changed on the job situation and my husband got a permanent job here in the Netherlands, like a permanent position in a permanent court in the Netherlands, that's when I started to realize that actually maybe this is going to be kind of either a forever home or a much longer term home, and that at this point I should really try to do my best to integrate into the country and into society here. And that's when I got pregnant and had a baby. And so the freedom that I had in all the years that we spent here before to go and do lessons and to, you know, have evenings and weekends or whatever that I could do, that I had the freedom, I didn't do it then. And then when I had a kid, now I feel like it was just so, it's too much. Between my two kids, taking care of them, especially being a stay-at-home mom and not having, unless I pay a babysitter or for kinderopvang, but mind you, I don't work. I'm considered a stay-at-home mom here in the Netherlands, so we don't even qualify for the kinderopvang toeslag. It is really like cost prohibitive for me to put her in daycare so that I can now go to Dutch lessons. So I definitely will learn Dutch, as I've said before, once both of my kids are in school. Once they're both in school and I have a little bit more freedom, my first plan is to sign up for Dutch lessons. A question that gets asked, like, I don't know if it's even in every video, but it is probably the most frequently asked question, and I find it really funny. It is about what you see behind me. It is about the purses in the background. What's the deal with the purses? Why do you have so many? What's happening here? There's just so many comments about the purses, and let me tell you the story about the purses. The purses are there because I think it's a nice and interesting background for you guys to look at. It's colorful and pretty, so that's why I like to include those in my video. In this new house, we haven't hanged, like, I have some artwork, we have some things that we've collected over the years. We haven't yet had a chance to hang them up, so all my other walls are pretty bare and pretty boring. So I feel like if I film in other places of my house, you're just gonna look at a blank wall, and that's not very fun. At least for me. I don't like to watch videos where it's just boring behind someone. So I film here. And why do I have so many purses? It's because I'm, you know, a 36-year-old woman who has collected purses over her lifetime, and I've kept them. And I like these colors, they make me happy, they're nice and bright. I don't use any of these purses. I don't use them anymore. Now I use a backpack because when I'm with my kids, the best thing is like for my hands to both be free. So I just have like a black backpack that I wear everywhere. But these purses, they remind me, they serve as a reminder of the person who I was before I had kids. I'm the type of person who, like, I really devote myself to my children, as I'm sure many parents do. And I tend to forget about the woman that I was before I had kids. I mean, I had my first child when I was 31, so I had 31 years of life before Leo came along, and these purses remind me of who that was and of the things that I did and who that 31-year-old woman was. And yeah, so I have it there. Maybe one day when I don't have such small children, I will be able to start using purses again, and I will switch them out to match my outfits. But for now, like, no way. Are any of these designer purses? No, they're not. They're all like purses that I bought like in discount shops, or they were gifts or something. Like, they aren't fancy. They're not like Chanel purses. Like, don't get me wrong, there's not a single designer bag among them. But yeah, that's just that. Okay, so this is actually a pretty fun question. Have you met any really interesting or famous people, and what was your experience like? So What you might not know about me, I only mentioned it in one other video, was that I used to be a film critic when I was in university. So I did have the opportunity to go to a lot of film festivals and screenings and premieres and things. So I've met some, you know, like famous actors and directors and things that you would have heard of, but that's not who I want to talk about in this video. I want to tell you guys about the time that I met the then current president of Serbia, and his name is Boris Tadic. So we went to a wedding in Belgrade. My family was invited to a wedding in Belgrade, and it just so happened that the president was there. He was also an invited guest at this wedding, and I didn't know who he was because I didn't know who he was, okay? Like, I didn't recognize him, but everybody was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Which, of course, I mean, of course, the president of a country is there. You're in the country and the president walks in, like, holy crap, right? But I didn't know. And I was just there on the dance floor, like, bloop, 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 dancing away, maybe had a drink. You know, I like to dance. And then suddenly I am dancing with the president. I'll even include a picture here. It's going to be grainy because it's from an article that I'll include pictures here, but this is like an article that I wrote about that experience later on for the newspaper that I was working at for the time. But yeah, I mean, I was dancing with the president. So he came up and we were dancing, and it was really fun. And that was a cool thing, I thought, because, you know, I don't know, when I think about politicians or certain people, you see them like as public figures, you know, you see them like with their press conferences and things. You don't see them like letting loose and like having a great old time at a wedding. So I just thought that was really cool to get to see somebody in such a high position like being so cool and having such a fun time. So that was probably like a really cool experience that I could talk about. Where do your families live, and do they visit the Netherlands often? So my husband's family lives in Mallorca, Spain, in the capital there, like around Palma. So yes, they do. They come to visit a couple times a year. We also go there because it's Mallorca, and if you haven't been there, you should go there because it's beautiful. And then my parents, up until 2 weeks ago, they lived in Arizona, but they retired, and when they retired, they sold everything from Arizona and moved back to Serbia. So now my parents are living in Belgrade, which is great because I feel like we're so much closer now. Now it's only a 2-hour flight as opposed to, you know, like 18 or 19-hour journey. We're in the same time zone, so I can call my mom or my dad, and it's just so nice. We can also do short trips to each other, and I'm just super excited that they're here. So what is my favorite dessert? That's a fun question. What's my favorite dessert? All of them. No, so for me, like, what makes a good dessert is if it has like different textures. So I like something that is gonna have something that's chewy, but that's also gonna have a bit of a crunch. That's, I think, why I like American desserts so much more than like a European style dessert, because European desserts are very delicious, but you'll have like, maybe, like, let's take the tompous, for example. Like, you have the kind of flaky pastry part, then like a big thick layer of cream, and then another flaky pastry part. For me, like, I want some nuts in that cream or some chocolate chips mixed in there, because I want to have like different textures and different things happening in my mouth. That's why, like, in the States, when you have these like kind of, nothing is simple, it's all rich, and that's why we're fat, because it just tastes so good. But you're gonna have like a brownie that's not just gonna be just like the cake brownie. You're also gonna have gooey caramel in it and some pecans, and then just extra chocolate, because why not? And then probably if you're in a restaurant, they're gonna offer that to you, like the brownie to be warm, and then they're gonna serve it with ice cream on top. So you have like the warm brownie with the cold ice cream, and then they're gonna drizzle some extra chocolate syrup on top, and then put whipped cream and all that stuff. And so you're just like having this like explosion of like different textures and flavors and temperatures in your mouth. That's my favorite. It's like when it's everything at once. All right, we have some questions from somebody who does not live in the Netherlands, and she's asking, like, actually not about me, but she's asking about some things in the Netherlands, so please bear with me. Can you get an ultrasound and a picture of your baby while you are pregnant in the Netherlands? Yes, you can. Even if you're going to a midwife or to a doctor, they do have ultrasound machines and you can get them. How do you find out the gender before it's born? You can definitely have that done here. It's at the 20-week ultrasound when they check all the organs of your baby and like they check for any anomalies. It's like a quite detailed ultrasound that you're going to have, whether you're with the midwife or in a kind of gynecology, like doctor followed pregnancy. You will have this special ultrasound at 20 weeks, and there they offer to let you know whether or not you're having if you want to find out the gender of your child, you can do it at that ultrasound. Regarding sending babies to daycare, what if I wanted to breastfeed, like maybe 6 months to a year? Can I pump breast milk and send it every day that you can? Yes. So if you have a baby and your baby goes to daycare and you are a nursing mom, you most definitely can pump and bring your milk in to the daycare for your child, and that is what they will give to your baby. I did that. Yes, you can definitely do it. That is actually like really, really supported. Nursing, breastfeeding is like very well established here. It is very supported here. It's great. And if you're worried about that, like especially as a mom, if you're working, I made a video all about maternity rights, like pregnancy, like all about maternity leave benefits, things like that. One of the things here is that every employer has to give nursing moms 25% of their working hours to devote to nursing, whether that's pumping at work or coming in a bit later and leaving a little bit earlier because you're going to nurse your kid, all the way up until your child is 9 months old. So that is all in this video here. Please watch that. That is a lot of information for you about that. Any tips I have for saving money on airfare to the US? So the thing about saving money to go to the US is I actually was very lucky in my previous jobs where I would travel to the US for work quite a bit, and then that's how I was going to the States a lot. However, there are times that I was paying for it on my own, and on those times, let me tell you something, there are low seasons. There are peak times to go and low seasons to go. And the cheapest time to travel to the United States from the Netherlands, I would have to say, is like mid-January to the end of February. You can find like really cheap tickets at that time. I usually use a website like Kayak. You mentioned Expedia in your question, but I will use a website like Kayak or Google Flights to see what is offered as the cheapest. And then because they show you what is the cheapest, so like Kayak will tell you, okay, with United, this is the flight and this is the price. Then I will go to the United website, do the same search directly on the website of the airline and see if that's even cheaper, because a lot of the time it is. So I kind of comparison shop and see, but certainly if I'm traveling by myself or like I'm paying for it, the cheapest time to fly is like, yeah, mid-January to the end of February. You can find great deals. Avoid traveling in the summer. That is absolutely the most expensive. Also, like Thanksgiving, Christmas time, that's also really expensive. But other than that, like if you just try to look at different times, different months, you'll get to know like when is actually the cheapest time to go to where you're going. What made us decide to live in The Hague? If you don't know, we live in the Hague area, and that's only because of we were both working here at a point in time. We both worked in The Hague, and so it just made sense to live here. Then I branched out. I commuted to Amsterdam for a while for a job, and then I commuted to like farther than Rotterdam for another job. So, but we still stayed in The Hague because we love it. We love it. It's a great city. It's international. It's wonderful and beautiful and clean, and I love it. Not to say that the other cities aren't, but this is where we settled, and we're very happy here. 2 more questions. Number 1, what is your goal with YouTube? So my goal with YouTube is to create like a safe place where we can talk about things it has changed. I'm not gonna lie, it has changed. When I first started YouTube, I thought that I was gonna be like a mom vlogger, like a mom YouTuber, showing you how I clean my house, or just like only like cooking like kid videos, and not having my kids in the videos, but like showing you like a lot of aspects about my life as a mom. But it seemed that you guys really connected to more of the videos where I was telling you about expat life and like the experiences that I had as an expat. And then that actually really inspired me to try to fill maybe like a gap that maybe, I don't know if it wasn't there or not. The goal of my channel is always to be helpful, to give you guys interesting educational content if you're new to the Netherlands, or if you're coming to the Netherlands, or even if you're not coming to the Netherlands, maybe you're moving to Germany or France and you're trying to do a bit of research. Like, it's not necessarily going to be the same, but as an expat, to just give you things to think about. And also to connect with the Dutch audience, because that has probably been one of my favorite parts of this YouTube journey that I started in February. I never expected that the audience would be so like the Dutch people would watch my videos so much. And in you guys doing that and responding to the things that I've said in videos, you have educated me unbelievably. And not just me, but also people who read your comments in the, you know, other viewers who watch and read your comments. Like, the information sharing and the community building and the way that I feel about this channel is just that we can do so much to just learn from each other and to understand each other more. And so I am so super thankful and super grateful to be in this position and to have this platform and to be able to have content that is like that. So I want to do that more. I don't want to share too much about next year, but Dan and I have some ideas about things to do next year, starting in January. And I also have some new series that I'm going to be announcing soon. I would love to collab with other people. Maybe if you're a Dutch YouTuber and you want to do a collab, like, let me know. Joey, Stacy, if you guys want to collab, let me know. Like, let's do that. But I just want to share experience, education, and also that you guys feel welcome and home, like, in like a positive, happy vibe. Like, that when you come to my videos, like, you might learn something, you might laugh with me, we might cry about something, because there are videos about that too, but that we just like share life, like that we connect in this way. So those are kind of my goals. I don't want to tell you like I want 100,000 subscribers or I want this many views, because that's become like less important. I do really appreciate if you guys watch the ads, because then YouTube does contribute a little bit more to my, you know, to my AdSense account. And from that, Dan and I will use that money to help make improvements on the channel. So buying a microphone is one of the things that we would like to do. But we need to earn the money first. So yeah, I just want to give you guys great content that is interesting, engaging, funny, maybe inspirational, inspire you to do things. Also share like different aspects of different cultures that I feel like I'm a part of, whether that's like cooking something Serbian or showing you how to do something Spanish, or just, you know, and also like experimenting with Dutch stuff. Like, I love it all. So those are my goals with my channel, but there will be more about that like at another time. So you guys, that's it. Thank you so much to everybody who sent in a question. If you have more questions, please leave them here. Let me know. I will try to make another video when there's enough questions. I will certainly keep track of them again, and like, you know, so that I can answer them in the future. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it, you know, it helped you get to know me more or answer some of your questions. Certainly, I hope you now understand the purses, the handbag collection. Yeah, so I hope this was fun for you guys. Thank you so much for coming over. Thanks for spending any time that you did with me today. I really appreciate you. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell, because if you do want to be notified, please do that. YouTube doesn't always display all the new videos in your feed. So if you want to know when I post one, click that bell and you will. And that's it. You guys have a great day. I hope you're enjoying the weather and having a good time. Everyone's healthy and well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.